All right, guys, let us look into one more session on Azure Administrator. First, let us look into the agenda for today. So, the agenda for today would be we would be understanding about Azure Application Gateway. Okay, we will. So, this is like an extension of load balancer or one of the option in load balancer. We'll understand what is an Azure Application Gateway, and in Azure Application Gateway, basically there are three components: front end IP, rules, and backend pools. We'll understand that. We will do a hands-on exercise how to configure application gateway. Once we look into that, we'll understand about a VNet pairing. Let's say if two servers are there in different VNets, how to establish communication between them by doing a VNet pairing. We'll understand that and we'll do a hands-on exercise on that. And then we will see how to use Azure DNS server, how to configure DNS by using Azure DNS service. Okay, and we will do a hands-on exercise on that. So this would be the agenda for this particular session. Okay, now let's start first. Let us understand what is Azure Application Gateway and when to use that. Let me flip to my whiteboard to explain you guys about that. Alright, I am on my whiteboard now. Now let me explain what is this application gateway. So now in the previous session we understood what is a load balancer, right? Now let's say in a load balancer, okay, I have application 1 and in both the servers I have application 1. And what we had a very simple load balancer. What this load balancer was doing, it is sharing the load between two servers. Now, let us say I have this application 1. Okay. Now, let's take this application 1. Uh, for example, let's take this is something like a Flipkart application. Okay. Now, in this Flipkart application, I have two services. I mean, there are a lot of services. I'm just telling, for example, there is a cart service, there is a payment service. Now, what I want to do, if any user wants to make a payment, I want all the requests to go to only this server, or else I can add multiple servers under payment. And I want all the requests that are related to cart to go into this server. Now, previously, what happened in a load balancer, I have same application in both the servers. Load balancer is balancing the load. Now, what I want to create a different target groups. All the requests that are coming for payment, I want to send it to this particular servers. Load should be balanced between this particular servers. All the requests that are coming to cart, I want the load to be balanced between this servers. Okay, that is what an application gateway will do. That means balancing the load at an application level. Now, this payment is one service in the application, this cart is another service in the application. So, we are balancing the load between multiple services within a application. Now, to implement this, there are three components in this. One of the component is called as front end IP. So now we all know what is a front end IP. Now, if we have to access the application, we need an IP address, which is a public IP address. How we can get the public IP address? By creating a front end IP. Now, the second one, we need to have backend pools. Now, what is the use of backend pools? Now, I want to create multiple pools. Okay. So, the reason for one service, one pool, another service, another pool. And the third one, rules. Now, what are these rules? Now, I'm saying that let's say I have created two backend pools. Let's say pool 1 and pool 2. Now, which request should go to pool 1 and which request should go to pool 2? That where will we mention? We will mention that in rules. Okay, these are the three components that we need to have to configure this application gateway. Now, to do this hands-on exercise, what we will do is that we will create one virtual machine. Let's say we will create a service like payments web page in this. Okay, we will create another server. We will put a web page like carts in this. Okay, that means two services. This is service 1, this is service 2, and we will create a pool. We will put this server in pool 1, we will put this server in pool 2. Okay, and then we will create a front end IP. Okay, after creating the front end IP, we will add the rules. Like, if a request is coming, this request should go to which pool? uh, this should go to this pool or this pool. Where will we define that? We will define that in the pools. So based on whatever request, the rule will check, and either it will redirect to here or here. So load balancing at an application level is done by using a application gateway. So let us do that. First, let's do create this virtual machine 1 and virtual machine 2. Let us host a payments page in this and a cards page in this. So we have to create two virtual machines. Let me flip to my Azure console for that. All right, I am on my Azure console. Select this option, create Azure virtual machine. Select a subscription. I will create a resource group. The resource group I will create is called as, let's say, development environment, dev. Click OK. And the virtual machine name I'll give it as payment virtual machine. Rest all I will leave it to defaults. Okay. And then I want a password for this. I'm giving a username and password. Okay. And select the ports. Select option, review and create. Okay. Select option, create here. Now the server is getting created. It would take a minute for the server to be created. Now the deployment is in progress. Meanwhile, let me go ahead and create another server as well. Let me go to virtual missions, create a Azure virtual mission. Let's go select subscription as, and the resource group, let me select as dev. Virtual mission, let me select as, give the name as cart. Okay, and give the password. Okay, and then let me give enable the port 80 and SSH, review and create. Now select option, create. Now you see the resource is created. Okay, let me go to home, go to virtual missions. Now both the virtual missions are created. Now first let me go to the payment virtual mission. Select option, payment. This is the IP address. Let me log in with putty. Okay, copy paste, select option open, accept. I'm giving my username and password. All right. Once I give my username and password, let me update the OS, sudo apt update, and then I will install Apache 2. Sudo apt install Apache 2 -y. This will install Apache software. Okay, now because I want to host two web pages now, what I will do, I will go to this HTML directory and I'll create a new directory there. Okay, I'll show that in a minute. Apache is installing. Let us wait for a moment here. Okay, now Apache is installed. Let me go to the root folder, clear these ones. Now I'll go cd var cd www. Now if you do ls, there's a HTML folder. Now if I go to HTML folder, if I do ls, there's a index.html page. Now if I copy paste this, okay, now if I copy paste this, I'll see a default page coming up. Okay, but I want to create multiple pages, right? So then what I should do, I'll create a directory here, make directory payments. Okay, make directory payments and then enter. Let me go as a root user. Okay, make directory payments. Now here I will create a index.html file. Let me go into the directory here. I'm copying my code now. Okay, now let me copy this IP address of the server. Go to the virtual machines, cart. Let me copy this IP address, go to a new browser, type in and then cart slash index.html. Enter. Now you see there's a cart page up. If you go to payments, there's a payments page. Now what I want to do, if there's a request that is coming to the payments, it has to go to this particular server. If the request coming to cart, it has to go to this page. So I want the load to be balanced at a application level. For that, how we can go? Okay, we can directly go to a service called as application gateway. Okay, or else you can go to load balancer also, which you already know. In that, the first option, you see there's something called as application gateway. Select this option, application gateway. Select option create. I told you three things that we have to create, right? One is the front end IP, second one is the back end pools, third one is the rules. Okay, now let's go to the subscription. This subscription is fine. Let me go to resource group. I will select the resource group as development dev, and the application gateway name, my app gateway. Okay, east us is fine, standard is fine, enable auto scaling. Now this feature, what it does is that if there are more requests coming to that particular application, it will automatically increase the count for that instances. Okay, and if you want http2, you can enable or disable, and then you have to create a separate network for this. Okay, now select option create new. I will say new for gateway. Select option OK, and then we should have only this application gateway in this particular subnet. There should not be any other resources in this particular subnet. Okay, go to front end. Okay, now we need to configure front end, right? I need to have a public IP address. I'll say my new IP, any random name you can give, and select. So this basically creates a public IP address. And then let's go to backend. You see here, add a backend pool. Here we need to create two pools. One pool is for payment, another pool is for cart. Select this option, add a backend pool. I'll say pool 1. Okay, and what is the target type? Is it IP address, virtual machine, or virtual machine scale set, or app service? I'll choose it as virtual machine. And what is the target? Okay, now let me select this. Okay, now you see, you can see both the servers. Okay, now I want to have the payment server in this pool 1. Okay, select and add. So in one pool, payment is added. Now I want to select another pool. Okay, I will choose here as pool 2, and in the pool 2 I want to add virtual machine. What virtual machine? I want to add a cart virtual machine. Select add. So we configured front end, we configured back end. Now what we need to do? See, front end is configured, back end is configured. Now it is saying add a routing rule. Select this option plus add a routing rule. Give a name to the rule. Let's say I'm give the name as a rule 1. Okay, and give a name to the listener. Any name you can give. Let's say I'm giving it as listener itself. Okay, and is it public or private? It should be public. Basic is fine. Select this option, add. Okay, this is done. So listener is done. Now we also have to configure in the rules backend targets. In the backend targets, we can give the priority. Priority you need to select from 1 to 20,000. Let's say I'm giving priority 100. Okay, backend pool. Which backend pool you need to add? I'll say backend pool 1. Okay, what is the settings? Add new. I'll name it as settings. This is HTTP protocol. Okay, everything is fine. Select option add. Okay, now in the backend targets, you see there's something called as path based rules. Okay, go to add multiple targets to a path based rule. Now what is the first one? I have payments, right? Payments slash asterisk. That means anything after payments. Okay, and let's give a name to this target. I'll say new target 1. Okay, and settings, and it should be which pool. It should go to pool 1. Let's say add. Now one rule is added. Okay, we can add another rule. Another rule, let's say it should go to slash cart asterisk. Right? Target name, target 2. It should go to settings, and then it should go to pool 2. Let's say add. Okay, think this one, it's not capital letters, right? Add payments. Okay, it is. Okay, there's a spelling error. Okay, now both the rules are added. Okay, let's select option add. So I'm adding both the rules here. So I have configured front end, I have configured rules, and I have configured backend pools. Now let's go to tags, review, and create. Okay, this will take a 1 minute to create this application gateway. Select option create. The deployment is in progress. Okay, this is going to take another 15 to 20 seconds to create all the resources. The deployment is in progress. Now the resource is created. Let me go to home and go to load balancers. Inside the application gateway, we will see a load balancer here. Now you see there's a public IP address. Let me copy this public IP address. Let me close all this. All right, let me put this in the browser slash payments slash index.html. Now you see a payments page has come up. Let me copy this, the same load balancer IP address. Okay, I'll remove this payments and I'll put carts. Enter. I think it is cart, not carts. You see a cart page has come. So now where this is used, how this load will be redirected. Let's say when a developer develops an application, let's say if this is my web page. Okay, now let's say there's a button called as payment here. Okay, there's a button called as card. Now as soon as you want to make the payment and you press this button, it will go where? It will go to that IP address, payment.index.html. Okay. Now, if you press this, it will go to that IP address of the application gateway, cart.index. So this way, the load from this application, payment application will go to payment server, cart will go to cart server. Now here we just added one server. In this pool, if we want, we can add multiple servers. In this pool, if you want, we can add multiple servers. So in this pool, only load will come from this cart. In this pool, only load will come for the payments. That is how we can use this application load balancer. All right. Now the next topic that we need to understand is called as a VNet pairing. Okay. First of all, let us understand what is VNet pairing, and then we will go ahead and implement VNet pairing. Let me switch to my whiteboard. Okay. Now let's say I am on the Azure. This is Azure Cloud. Okay. Now inside this, this is VNet 1. Okay. I'm creating two VNets. This is a VNet 2. Okay. VNet 2. Now I created a virtual machine in this VNet and one virtual machine in this VNet. Now, can I establish communication between these two servers? It is not possible because these two servers are part of two different VNets. But if we want to establish communication between these two servers, we need to do something called as a VNet peering. So if we do VNet peering, the server which is there in this VNet will be able to establish communication with the server which is there in this VNet. Okay. Now let us do this hands-on exercise. What we will do, I'll create two VNets, VNet 1, VNet 2. Okay. I will create a virtual machine. Let's create a Windows virtual machine, or else we can create a Ubuntu virtual machine as well. Okay. We will create a virtual machine. We'll host a uh, now we'll create a Windows virtual machine so that you guys can easily see. We'll create a Windows virtual machine. We will enable IIS on this virtual machine. Okay. And we will open this virtual machine after creating VNet peering. Okay. We will open this virtual machine and try to access this website from this web page with the private IP. Okay, if it is public IP, then obviously it can communicate, right? Because it can go to the public DNS, get the IP address, and then communicate. But by using the private IP of this virtual machine, it should be able to communicate. Okay, so first let's create VNet 1, VNet 2. Let's create this Windows server, this Windows server. Let's host IIS in this, take the private IP address and put this in this particular server, and we will see we are able to establish communication between two VNets. Okay, let me flip to my Azure console. Let me close this. Go to virtual machines. No, let me go to VNets first now. Go to virtual networks. Select option create. I will go to subscription, which is Visual Studio subscription, and resource group dev is fine. I'll give the VNet name as my demo VNet 1. Okay, VNet 1. East US is fine. So review and create. Select option create here. This is creating. The deployment is in progress. Meanwhile, let me create another VNet as well. Go to virtual networks, create. Okay, and I will use the resource group as dev. Virtual network name, my demo VNet 2. Okay, now this can be in another region also. That's not a problem because VNet could be in another region also. We can still establish pairing. Review and create. Select option, create. Let me go to the virtual networks. I should have chosen a different IP range. Okay, let me create one more with a different IP range. My demo VNet 3. Okay, let's go here. IP addresses. Okay, add an IP address space. I'll give the starting IP address as 11.0.0.0 and I'll give it as 16. Okay, add, review and create. So we have created two VNets now. Okay, select option, create. Now let us create a, okay, the resource is created. Go to resource. Okay, demo VNet is created. Okay, there is no subnet in this. Let me create a subnet. Select option, subnet. I'll say sub 1 is fine. Select option, save. Okay, same thing. I'll create a subnet in another VNet. Go to virtual networks. Go to virtual network demo VNet 1. Go to subnets. Okay, here default subnet is already there. That's fine. Now let me create one virtual machine in each virtual network. Let me go to virtual machines. Create a new virtual machine. I will choose the same resource group as dev and virtual machine name. I'll give it as peer 1. Okay, I will give the name here as Windows. I want to create a Windows virtual machine. All right, size, this is fine for me. Username, I'll give username and password. All right, let me open HTTPS ports. Okay, review and create. So I'm sorry. I need to select a VNet, right? So I will not create this. Go to networking. Okay, my demo VNet. It has already choose my demo VNet. That's fine. And subnet is default subnet. Okay. So we are creating it in my demo VNet. That's fine. Review and create. Okay, let me select option create. Now, while this is creating, let me create another virtual machine. Uh, Go to virtual missions. Okay, while this is creating, let me create another virtual machine. Select option create, Azure virtual machine. Dev is fine. I'll give the virtual machine name as peer 2. Okay, and let me give username and password. Okay, and let me enable all the ports. Okay, now let it be there in a different VNet. So the VNet here is, we will select as my demo VNet 3. Okay, it will load the IP address. That is fine. Let us go ahead and review and create. So what we did now, we created two VNets, and each VNet we created one virtual machine. Okay, let me select this option called as create. Validation is passed. Now it is creating. It is initializing the deployment, submitting the deployment. Let me go here and see the first virtual machine is created or not. Yeah, peer 1 virtual machine is created. Let me log into this first virtual machine, peer 1. Let's take the IP address, copy this IP address, go to RDP, connect. Let me use more choices. Okay, this is my username and I'll give the password. Select option, okay. Select yes. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll install IIS on this particular server. So for that, we need to go to server manager. It will come up in a moment. Let's wait for that. The server manager is coming up. Let's say add roles and features. Okay, let's wait for a moment. Server manager is collecting inventory data. Okay, let's wait for a moment. Okay, select option next. 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 If you look, there is something called as web IIS. Add features. Select next. 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 And install. Okay, once this is installed, the web server will be up. This would take about 30 seconds. Installation started on peer 1. The installation is going on. Let us wait for a moment. It would take about another 5-10 seconds. The installation is successful. Let's close this. Now let me open a browser in this particular server itself. Okay. Now what is the private IP address of this server? Let's go to view. It is 10.0.0.4. Let me copy this. Let me go back to the server. Okay. Okay. Let's put that here. 10.0.0.0. I think it is dot 4. If you see, the default page is coming. Okay. This is a security. Okay. Let us put the public IP address. 172.190.75.231. Okay. We are able to access this. Okay. Now we are able to access this. Now let us go to this uh, the other virtual machine. The other virtual machine is peer 2, right? Okay, let us log into this. Copy, go to RDP, connect, more choices, select OK, select S. Okay, now if we have to access that server from here, we have to do something called as pairing that we discussed, right? Let us go to this VNets. Okay, go to this demo VNet 1, and then you see there's an option here called as VNet pairing. Select this pairing, select option add, peering link name, my peer link. Okay, allow all defaults. What is the remote virtual pairing link name? New to some random name I'm giving. Okay, it is there in the subscription. This one, and I want to peer this VNet DemoNet peer 3. So I'm there in this demo VNet 1, right? So I want to peer that with demo VNet 3. Okay, and select add. Now it is validating. The pairing will happen now. Okay, now the pairing is done. Now what we should do now, let me go to the second server. Okay, the second server is this. Okay, now let me go to the browser. Now what I will do, I will give the private IP address of the first server. The private IP address of the first server is 10.0.0.4, right? And then hit enter. Now if I hit enter, you see I'm able to see that web server. So basically, in this particular server, the first server, this is the first server, right? Okay. So whatever we install in this server, we are able to connect from the second server with the private IP address. Private IP address is 10.0.0.4. With the public IP address, it will anyways connect. But what we want to establish, we want to establish the connection internally, right? So that one we are able to successfully do it. So I logged in. What we did, we created two VNets. I created this virtual machine. I installed IIS on this. I created another VNet, created another virtual machine. We created VNet peering, and the IP address, private IP address is 10.0.0.4. I opened a browser here and open that, I'm able to see that. That means there is a communication between these two servers with the help of peering. That is how we can configure a VNet peering. All right. I hope you guys understood. Now, what we have discussed till now we have discussed about Azure application gateway, how to configure front-end IP, how to configure rules, and the backend pools. And we also understood about a VNet pairing. Now we will look into Azure DNS service. Let me go to my whiteboard first of all to understand what is a DNS and how to, why do we need DNS, etc. Now, let us say uh, we have hosted one website on this particular server, right? Let's say a website name. Okay, let's do this first of all. Let's say I'm sitting at my home, okay, and from my laptop, I want to access website with google.com. Now, how it will happen? Now, google.com, every website has to be there on one web server, right? Let's say google.com is there on this particular server, and the IP address of this server is, I'm just giving for an example, it is 192.154.82.0. Okay, this is the IP address of the server. Now, as soon as I'll open my web browser on my laptop. In the web browser, we'll give google.com. Now, what happens? This request will go to your Wi-Fi router, and then it will go to the internet. Okay, and from there, it will try and search what is the DNS server. Okay, where is this particular google.com is hosted? Now, let's say we will get information. This is the server that google.com is hosted. Now, your laptop will make a connection with this IP address, not with google.com. Okay. Now, hosting these records, let's say google.com is equal to this IP address. Where are these records are stored? These records are stored in DNS servers. To tell this in a layman language, but there is a whole lot of history behind this, or a whole lot of theory how this particular system will actually do a name resolution. Okay, so this is in short, that is what a DNS service is all about. DNS service basically helps us to resolve the names which is there behind the IP address. Okay, now let us see, dive little bit deeper into that. Now let's take same example, either from your laptop or it could be mobile also, right? From your mobile, you're typing in some website name. The first, it will go to the router. The request will go to the router in your home, and then it will reach internet. There are a lot of your if your internet service provider is, let's say, Act, Verizon, etc. It the first request will go to your DNS server of your internet service provider. Okay, DNS server of your internet service provider, but that fellow will not have, let's say you want to open a page called as flipkart.com. Okay, now internet DNS service provider will not know the IP address of this. They will send to, let's say, .com DNS server, okay, and then it will route to, if Flipkart has its own DNS server, it will route to this request saying that, hey, there is a user, he wants to open Flipkart page. What is the IP address of the server? Now this will respond with saying that, let's say, Flipkart is equal to IP address, let's say 200.250, etc., etc. Now your laptop will make a connection with the server, and then the Flipkart web page will open up, because the browsers will not understand the names, they only understand the IP addresses. Because we humans cannot understand the or remember the IP addresses, the company will give a URL with a domain name, and this domain name is connected with the IP address. Okay, that is, and who does this work? All these records are stored in basically a DNS server. Now what we will do, we will create one DNS. Okay, we will simply uh, create one virtual machine. We'll do two hands-on exercise here. We will create one virtual machine. We will host a website. Okay, very simple website. Okay, what I'll do, I'll have a website with two buttons. Okay, one button is payments. Okay, second button is cart. Okay, and so now we already have this virtual machine with some IP address. I think the IP address, let me check that IP address. Okay, this is the IP address 2231. Let me copy this. Let me put that on the browser. Now you see this page is coming up. Okay, 2231 21274. Okay, 20.231 212.74. Now what I'll do, I have one domain IP address. Sorry, domain name. Let me go to the domain registrar. I have something called as GoDaddy account with me. Let's go to GoDaddy. Let me sign in. I'm signing into my account here. Let me put the verification code there. Okay, I am logging into my GoDaddy account. I have multiple domains here. Okay, let's see. I have a domain by name satish.io. Okay, now let's see. Let me put this satish.io in the web browser. There is nothing coming up, right? Okay, there is nothing coming up because I have, this is my domain, but I have not hosted any website on this. Okay, now let's go to GoDaddy domain. Okay, let's go to, okay, you see there's something called as domain settings. Select this option, view domain settings. You see there's an option called as DNS here. Let's go to DNS. Okay, there are multiple methods to show. Let me show you one method here. Now you see there's a type A. Select this type A. Okay, select this option, edit. Okay, now remove this part. Let me go to this, copy this IP address of the server. Okay, go back to GoDaddy, paste this here. Okay, we can remove this HTTP, that is not required, only the IP address is required. Okay, and save this. It is updating DNS records. It is saying DNS record is updated successfully. Okay, but it is saying that it will take some time for the effort for that to come into existence. Okay, all right. Now let me go to this satish.io and refresh this page. Let's wait for a moment. Okay, I think it will take some time. Let us wait for a few minutes. But meanwhile, let us see one more option. Now let me go to the server again. Okay, this is the server, right? 20.231.212.74. Now, if you say DNS name, it is not configured. Select this option, not configured, and it will ask us to give a name. Let's say I'll give the name as levelup.east2s.cloud. The name is available, so it is showing a tick mark here. Okay, let us say save here. Now, if I save this, now instead of using an IP address, I can use this domain name. Okay, let's go to this virtual missions again. Let's go to payment. Okay, now it will show a DNS name here. You see? Now let us copy this DNS name. Let us give here, enter. Okay, now we have created an application gateway, right? So what I have given for payments, I have given the payments URL. For cart, I have given cart URL. Let's say if I go into payments, you see it is going into a payments URL. Okay, if I go into cart, it is going to the cart. So that is how normally we use that application gateway. Let's say on a website we can have multiple tabs, right? So we can give that URL so that load can be balanced between those URLs. Okay, so now whatever, if I give card, it will go to card server. If I give payment, it will go to the payment server. Now that is how we configure DNS here. Okay, now let's see this, whether this is working or not. Okay, I think still it is going to take some more time. Okay, did I save this? Now that domain is taking little time. Let me try with a different domain and check whether it works or not. Okay, let us see with datarex.net. Okay, let's try with this domain. Go to DNS. Okay, go to record A, and then we can also select edit here. Select edit. Remove the park value, and the name of the domain is this one. Let me copy it. Okay, let me copy it here. Oh no, this is not the one. I want this one. Let me copy it. Okay, save. Okay, it is saying updating DNS records. Datarex.net. Let me copy this in the browser. Enter. You see here? Now datarex.net, it is showing this page. Now if I click on payments, it is redirecting a payments page. Now if I click on cart, it is going to a cart page. Now there is no need for you to remember the IP address. I can just give you the domain name and then you can do that. Okay, this is one very simple way to do that. Okay, there is one more way. This way is basically, let's say, uh, there is a Azure DNS service. Let's say go to Azure DNS, or else let me type in DNS service, okay, which says Azure DNS zones. Click on this, select option create DNS zones, give a resource group, dev is fine, give a name, my DNS zone. Okay, we have to give a domain name here. Let's say I'm giving the domain name. Let me choose a different domain. The reason for Satish IO it took a lot of time is because there is a unique extension, right? So let's say I want to take datarex.co. Okay, let me give a domain name here, datarex.co. Okay, and tax review and create. Okay, this is how you create a DNS zone. Now what Azure will give some DNS server names. Okay, Azure is going to give a DNS server names. The deployment is in progress. Let us wait for a moment. Go to resource. Okay, now you see it has given some name servers to us. Now what we can do, we can go here. So datarex.co is the one which you're going to use, right? Now go into the DNS records. Now instead of modifying a record, we can go to the name servers here. We can say, you see NS4 domain control. These are the domain names of GoDaddy. I want to host it on Azure. If I want to host it, let's go to change name servers here. Okay, I will use my own name servers. Okay, let us go to here. These are the name servers. Let me copy this one by one. Okay, there are 4 name servers for redundancy. This is one name server. We can say I want to add multiple name servers. Let's go here. .NET is one. Add this. I think .org is one more. Okay, and the other one is .info. Dot. Okay, and save. So now basically now I think there is no. Alright, yeah. Click on save. Okay, these 2 name servers are wrong. What is that? It is basically ns3 azure dns.org. That's correct only. Let me copy this. Okay, this is ns3. I think this will be ns4, name server 4. I've given wrong this thing, that's why it didn't take. Select option save. Okay, I'm editing the name servers. Select option continue. So now I have given my own name servers, not the uh, GoDaddy name servers. Okay, and then now if you see here, select option record set here. Let's say we can give something like www dot, and what is the IP address of the server. Now let's say the IP address is this one. Let me copy this. Let me go to this record set. Okay, click on OK. So we are creating a record here. Click on OK. Okay, now let's go to GoDaddy and let's delete the A record here. Delete, because we are using Azure DNS servers there. All right. Now let me run this and check whether it is working or not. Okay, DNS is deleted. Okay, let me delete this. Removing this record might cause some products, and are you sure you want to delete? Yes, delete record. Okay, now let me go back to here. Let me save. Let me refresh this, and then we should be able to see a. You see, there is a record here. Okay, there is a record which is created. Let me edit this. Okay, that's fine. Now let me copy this and put this on a browser. I should get the same web page. Okay, I think this .co extension will also take some time. So there are two methods. One, you can create a Azure DNS server and add a record. In the a record, give the IP address. And other one, you can go to your DNS service provider, change the a record and give the IP address. That is how you can work with Azure DNS. Okay, so basically DNS is a service which will help you to map the domain name with the IP addresses. All right. So this domain has given us the output very faster. I will leave these domains open. You guys can just put this domain names in the browser and check. After few hours, it would basically work. You see now, satish.io is also working. So it took some time. Okay. Now this is one way, and the other way is one way. So this will also this way will also take some time, probably about 10-15 minutes. You can try that later. Okay, that is how you can configure Azure DNS service. Now let's recap the session. In this particular session, we have understood about Azure Application Gateway. We configured front-end IPs, we configured rules, back-end rules, okay, and we configured VNET peering, and we also configured Azure DNS service. All right. See you guys in the next session. Take care.